Everybody. Thanks for being here. Oh my goodness gracious. I'm so excited that you're here with us. We are live right now inside of Pivot Shift Ahead. We're also on Zoom. I'm James Shaw, and I appreciate you taking time out of your day to hang out with us. As we get into the busy time of 2024 in a crazy market in wild times, we find that it just leads to some overwhelm from time to time. And Josie reached out to me and she said, James, we can help with that. She's got a system to keep you out of overwhelm, of course, and her partner Carissa too. So I said, well, let's get on Pivot Shift Ahead and let's help the people. And so they're going to do this session for you today on overcoming overwhelm and then tell you about an opportunity to connect with them even further. So that's it from me. I appreciate y'all being here. Josie, take it away.
Hey guys, we are super excited to have you here. Just give me a minute so that I can screen share with you all. Do, 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 do. Okay, so you should be seeing the screen that says Overcoming Overwhelm. Is that correct? Anybody?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you. It's only on screen share, and so if you're nodding, I can't see you. um, Deb Federal, question already. Go ahead, hon. Nope. Okay.
No
Um,
question.
So I am Josie Ambrose, for those who may not know me. I am the Director of Operations and Marketing for a team here in Connecticut, run by Valerie King. It's a Valerie King team, who is also my sister. I talk about that a lot. And as well as I co-run the Real Estate Operations Institute with Carissa Mason. I'll let her introduce herself in a second. So you can see right here our kind of social handles. Please feel free to follow us on social media. I usually introduce myself as Josie from Connecticut, Josie from CT. We are a top team here, and I've been on the team for over 7 years now. And so one thing that I am very passionate about is systems, yes, but really leverage and figuring out, right? Like, how do we make our lives easier with the thousands of things that we're doing every day? So I'm super excited to be here. And I will let Carissa introduce herself.
Hey guys, I am so thrilled to be here with everybody and so happy that you decided to spend this afternoon with us. And we hope you take away some great pieces of information to help implement into your business. Again, I'm Carissa. I am a broker of two brokerages right now, and I am the owner of Carissa Mason Realty, and I also do some business coaching consulting. I prefer to do it with teams. So I've helped over 40 teams grow and thrive in the industry. But as Josie said, we are partners within the Real Estate Operations Institute, and this is my baby. I love it. This is what I do. I love helping people just make their lives easier and problem solve. So I'm excited to be here with you guys. All right, well, I'm going to kick us off because we have limited time and we have a lot of information to give to you guys. So today's goals, we are going to identify what those points of overwhelm are. We all have them, and we're not just talking business. I mean, we'll hone in on business, but there's a lot of different overwhelm. We're moms, we're dads, we're coaches, we are business owners, we are support, we're psychiatrists, we're everything to everybody. So how do we sort through that and then simplify it so that we can then implement, but we have to figure out what that process is. And so that's where the R&D comes in. So if anybody doesn't know, R&D, rip off and duplicate. Somebody's doing it at a high level, why recreate the wheel? Take what they have, bring it back to shop, and Frankenstein it into your own. You might need to tweak a couple of things, but we're going to go over some tried and true systems and processes that are actually going to get us there and teach you how to implement it, because we were just in a meeting a couple weeks ago, and it was said, like, we are addicted to education but allergic to implementation. And it's so true. We get all this information, we show up to all of these conferences and classes, and we feel so good, but we never take it back and implement it. So we hope that today you guys make a change in your life and actually implement something. Josie, can you go to the next slide? Thank you. All right, so here it is. This is where it's here, like, these words probably resonate with all of us. especially if you're here. Okay. And that's why I really appreciate you here, because if you're here, you're probably overwhelmed and you took out the time in your day to be here to kind of sort through this. So you're not alone. You are definitely not alone. Josie, I don't know what you did to the screen, but it just went a little bit crazy. So,
Sorry,
okay.
yeah. Is it
So,
on full screen again?
yes, it's just the way you're sharing it. That's why I didn't come through as a video, because you didn't do in presentation mode, but it's okay. I know you were
Right.
you did
Yeah.
all these great effects. Josie is awesome with all that, guys.
I
So,
think I just fixed it.
all right. So, but you're not alone. We're all here. I mean, you can see how many of us are in here and how many people are watching via Zoom. It's because we all feel it. We want to emphasize that our goals, not just today, but every day, is to help make sure that we stay in out of the stressful state. Like, we want to take this information and work through it. You may not realize it, but one of the best ways to overcome overwhelm is actually to ask for help and seek it out. And we commend you for being here. Again, I've thanked you guys 1,000 times, because the step is helping yourself first and figuring out who you ask for help, and, leaning on the people that are doing it at a high level. So we want to thank you for that. But with that being said, let's get into the first roadblock, because we all are going to resonate with it. So
Okay, so roadblock number one is letting the morning run you instead of you owning the morning. We're very intentional when we like to use the term owning when we do teach classes or when we're talking to our coaching clients. But what does that really mean? So your morning might look something like this, right? And we had, if you were on the Pivot pre-show this morning, we kind of talked about some of these things as well. So the person who wakes up first thing in the morning, right, checking messages before you even get out of bed, super guilty of that. It's like the alarm goes off and my hand just reaches for the phone, right? And I'm looking, did I miss a text? What emails did I miss in the middle of the night? And not even giving myself a chance to like fully wake up sometimes, right? Are you the person who's just stressed by your home before you even like walk out of the door, right? Like, are you looking at laundry on the floor, your kids' toys everywhere? Like, you get overwhelmed just by the fact of walking out of your bedroom and you're like, oh my God, my house looks like a mess. And you just want to put your head back in the sand, right? Or maybe you're the person who's answering calls and things like that before you even get into the office, right? So you're trying to get your coffee and you're not setting boundaries. So you're just answering your clients' calls at 6:30 in the morning or whatever time of day it might be, even though maybe you're attempting to work like a 9 to 5, or if you're truly in an admin seat where you're supposed to be on a schedule, right, and a salaried, but same thing, you're just not having clients or even your team members possibly respecting those boundaries, and you're kind of all over the place. And then the other kind of piece could be the person who gets to the office and they're excited, I'm gonna have a great day, but then you're so busy solving everybody else's problems instead of your own, right? And so that's kind of the chaos that you might be running into. But what if your morning could look like this instead?
absolutely. That's okay. I knew it would resonate with all of us, because that's all of us in the morning. We
Right?
are all over the place. So let's figure out how we simplify it, because that was one of our goals today. How do we simplify it? And that is planning it out. So this right here is actually shared on page 308. We put it right in there, in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book that we should all own, no matter where you are in this world, and in brokerage, you should have it. So this is going to be a visualization. So basically it's stating, start your morning out with spiritual energy, meditate, pray, whatever that looks like for you. Maybe it is journaling, make it your own, but carve out that time so that you can just be in that state of peace. Incorporate that physical energy in there. So when we're talking about physical energy, that might be a walk, that might be yoga, that might be a run, whatever works for you. But incorporate that every day, like, so you are on a schedule. It says by 11 a.m. every day. So we are going to talk about that a little bit. You want to do it on a schedule that works for you, but touch on mental energy. So that's going to be, I'm sorry, we skipped emotional. That's the most important part. So emotional energy, podcasts, books, plan and prep your day. Make sure that when you are stepping out that door, you have poured into yourself so that you don't feel resentful when you're showing up to work and someone's asking you to do something and you're like, oh, I'm in the middle of eating my lunch or breakfast or whatever it is. We tend to get that resentment quick because we haven't poured into ourselves. So then we talk about the mental energy. So podcasts, books, what are you pouring into yourself? When you're on that plane, they tell you, put the oxygen on yourself first because you can't help others if you don't help yourself. So make sure you are pouring into yourself and, carving out that time to figure out what good stuff you're putting into you, because our brains listen to everything. So we might as well make everything good as possible. And then your business energy. What time are you starting to lead generate? What are you doing? Are you preparing the night before? Are you getting to the office and are you scrambling? So make sure the schedule is all in tune with what works for you. And we will be sharing a copy of this energy plan with you guys when we email you all the freebies and bonuses. So you will have this, but it is in the MRAA. And again, it says do all this by 11 a.m., but we say we have to honor your own internal clock. Okay, so don't put more stress and don't cause more mayhem on your life because we are already overwhelmed. So if you're not a morning person, don't force it. Make yourself and others miserable by doing that. Just wake up at the time that works for you and just make sure you're backing your schedule into this. Again, if your peak energy is 2 p.m., then save your highest productivity task for that time of day. Don't try to do it at 7 a.m. because you're going to hate life, I promise.
Hate life. Oh, so what I actually want, I'm gonna have to stop screen sharing. So I'm gonna pull up something for you guys. I saw in the chat, yes, the class is being recorded. It is also being streamed into Pivot Shift Ahead right now. And thank you for the visual. I will not take credit for that. We actually found a copy of that by searching the MRA energy plan. And that one specifically was in the Pivot Shift Ahead Facebook group that someone had posted years ago. So definitely use your resources. Just a second because I wanted to pull up to show you guys one of the resources that we are going to be sharing with you. I'm not as good as James at switching windows, guys. Okay, so this time blocking kind of sheet, time blocking truly is one of the things that people, right, come to us most often. It's probably the number 2 struggle and kind of root issue, right, that people just can't wrap their minds around, or they try and for some reason, right, you just let other things continue to get in your way. So this specific tool is something that helps simplify that. It's literally, you're going to get an editable copy of this. This is just a PDF I pulled up. And so that way you can customize this. It's got suggestions on how to kind of run your day. So it's just preset with 8 to 5. But if you know that you work different hours of the day, like what Carissa said, just adjust that, right? So you're clearing, suggestions, clearing your emails and voicemails. The biggest piece that I want you to focus on is these priority blocks. So when you're thinking about all the things that you need to do for the day, just chunk it down into, is it showings? Don't worry about how many people I'm showing. I'm going to give myself this maybe 1, maybe 2 hour time block where I can plug showings into there, right? Whatever my top 20% activities is, right? So if you're an admin and operator, then maybe it's, I really need to get a listing in today. And so I got to make sure that that's one of my kind of first time blocks in the morning, for example, right? The priorities. The biggest piece though is this one thing. Every single day, I emphasize this a lot when I talk about my 411 and kind of how I manage my day. There's always one thing of all the things that I am 100% going to get done today. And if the day throws chaos at me and I don't get to that one thing till 9 or 10 o'clock at night, I am committing to myself that I will get that one thing done, right? So maybe it's the only thing I got done because ideally it's the first thing I'm going to do in the morning because I am a morning person. And if the rest of the day goes crazy, I'm okay with that because I did my one thing. And so this is something that I had actually shared with another agent when we were kind of having a conversation recently. And she gave the aha of how helpful this was for her to kind of just simplify it in her mind. And this wasn't even something we were going to share. And I was like, wow, okay, if you found it that helpful, then other people will too. And so I do hope that you guys will find this helpful. Like I said, you'll get the editable version where you can customize it. And then be able to use it for your needs. And so I said that, the number 2, probably biggest struggle that people approach us about when they're asking about help for whatever it is in their day that they need help with, right? And so now we figure you guys are probably wondering, like, what's the number one struggle that most people kind of need help with? And I bet you can guess what that is, right? It's so the reality is that it is systems, and yet what does that really mean? So systems is just everything that you do within your day can be a potential system, right? And so while we were working on our coaching businesses last year, that's when we both kind of were having a conversation. So I don't think I mentioned that at the beginning. So besides being on the team, I do also run one of my businesses is doing coaching and consulting for not just admins and agents, but also for small businesses. I probably have more small business entrepreneur clients, honestly, than I focus on the real estate clients because of the type of work that I help them do and starting up their businesses. And yet, when Carissa and I were talking, because Carissa also was my former coach, all great coaches have great coaches, we realized that there was this need, while there are lots of courses, there was a need to have more kind of consistent focused efforts around this whole concept of systems, because that's what people were reaching out to me about, multiple people on a weekly basis at one point last year. And so we came up with this concept, right, of coming up with a course that was extremely impactful with training around systems. And that's when we created what we call Profitable Systems Made Simple. So that's the course that I know James has kind of alluded to in his emails. And the emphasis is on the made simple part, right? Because success is simple, not easy. And so in the course, we do a deep dive into almost all the core aspects of a real estate business. So we start with the foundational work. So the models that you really need to cement the business to help you kind of get set up for the consistent growth. So this morning, again, if you were on the call on the pre-show, I talked about, or might have been yesterday morning. We have great calls on the pre-show, guys. So join the Pivot Shift Ahead pre-show. But so I talked about setting yourself up for the year, right, based on the systems that you do. So for example, on our team, every year I'm working on our marketing and events calendar. I'm working on our 36 touch plan, and I'm working on I'm failing the other one in my mind because, you know, there's a lot of different things. But there's three main things essentially that I do at the end of the year to set us up for the year ahead, right? And so those, the GPS, that's what it was. It was the GPS, of course. so those areas, right, are some of the examples of things when we say foundational that really will help. And there's a lot that's involved with that as well. Then we move on to marketing and branding. And so this actually crosses into lead gen and your messaging. And that's when I talk about my small business clients, that's a lot of what I help them with, the messaging, the branding. How do they get customers, right, out kind of in the world? And so how are your clients talking about you? How do you teach them how to send you business? And then how do you earn the right to be like us in the Valerie King team, where we have a business that's 80 to 85% repeat and referral year after year after year since at least 2018. And I've been with Val since 2017, right? And so we'll be getting into all of that. Next up, we dig into transaction management in the Profitable Systems Made Simple course. Now, we know this is probably the least sexy topic of them all, but I will say we did have a lot of people on this call who did take the course with us in the fall, and that was actually the most engaged session that we had because of the way that we spun it. So that's all I'm going to say about that. And so we're going to drop the link in the chat right now, the course, to check it out. We'll talk about it a bit more in a bit, but it is bit.ly/PSMS course, right? And so make sure that you guys stay till the end of the class today, because we have some surprises for you as well that you might be eligible for if you sign up with us. And then side note, Inspire members, you should be able to check your inbox already for a coupon code that would have been sent to you. So, but for now, we're gonna wrap it back into the next roadblock. So give me 1 second and I will re-screen share so Carissa can take it away.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, so we've been through our first roadblock. We've gotten through it. We know what we need to do to make our day a little easier, hopefully at this point. But what we need to do is start controlling what we're thinking. And roadblock number 2 is comparing your chapter 1 to chapter 12 of somebody else. You do not know what it took them to get there. So you have to stop doing that first and foremost. You cannot have a productive day if you are continually comparing yourself to what someone else is doing. You're in competition with yourself first and foremost. Um, you know, the old saying, comparison is the thief of all joy. So we want to share some strategies with you that we can take that back and keep our joy to ourselves, because at the end of the day, we create that. We can't put that on other people. Josie, can you switch to the next slide? All right. 5 ways to take back control of your mindset. Okay, so be intentional with your time and who you allow access to. So this is really honestly one of the most effective ways to kind of control your mindset, because we are who we surround ourselves with. If you have negativity in your life, that's what you're going to keep building on. Manifestation is a real thing, guys. It really is. So make sure you are waking up and telling yourself how great you are, and not that you're going to make $1 million, but you already made $1 million. Again, I said it in the beginning, our mind listens to everything. So be careful what you're filling it with, and who you're filling it with. Build that bunker. So people call it different things: foxholes, bunkers, walls, barbed wire, boundaries, all of that. So build that and keep yourself contained. I mean, again, allow the people to come in, but keep yourself contained and put up those blockers. There's a reason why when horses race, they have blinders on, because they get distracted by the other horses and other things around them. So keep your eye on the prize, keep going forward, and stop comparing. And ask for help. This is one of the ones I still struggle with, and I'm sure a lot of people on this call do struggle with this. Asking for help. It's not a sign of weakness. And I know that it's not a sign of weakness. However, I do not like putting anything on other people. I feel like it's me. I need to own it, and I will own it, even if I'm up till 2 o'clock in the morning. However, that is a huge downfall on me, because I could ask for help. I could call Josie up and say, hey, how do you do this? And she can tell me in 30 seconds. And then I could be way more efficient and get more done for more people. So be sure to ask questions and ask for help, because the answer is right there. Who are your collaborators? Sorry, can't speak English. So who
Okay, we
are
got you.
who are you sitting with regularly? And when I say regularly, I mean you are putting them on your calendar and they're doing something. It doesn't have to be everything better than you, but maybe they're balancing being a mom better than you. And I don't mean like in the aspect of that they care for their child more, but maybe they're balancing it more. Maybe you're like, how do you take your kid to soccer practice and make it to the business meeting and do this and do that? Like, sit down and pick their brain. Someone's selling more houses, figure out what they're doing. Don't recreate the wheel. Just get your collaborators together, because it's about collaboration, not competition. Exactly. I said this on a panel on Saturday. It is a little bit of competition, though, collaboration with competition, because it keeps you motivated. It's like you're competing with yourself. So I've made the marker here. Let's move it a little bit, but use your collaborators to get there. And one of the most important ones that we don't tend to do is find ourselves a mentor or coach. And we do want to be careful with this, because we said all the time, not everybody's qualified to be that coach or mentor. You don't want to, join forces with someone who's just as new as you and put a team together and think it's going to be successful. It may. I'm not saying it's not gonna, but you want to find someone who's been doing what you want to do for maybe years, or is doing it at such a high level that you're just like, listen, if you can save me 3 or 4 steps, that would be great. And so don't be afraid to do all of these. This is how you're going to take back control. Implement these into your daily routines, and I promise you every day will get slightly better for you.
Yeah, great job, Chris.
But yeah, I did put a note. I'm sorry, I have a note here, but we wanted to talk about book suggestions, and I'm surprised it took us this long to talk about them in this meeting. But John Maxwell, intentional living. Let's just put it out there. That's a great one to add to your repertoire if you have not read it yet.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah, y'all know I love all things John Maxwell, so
I know. I'm
absolutely.
like, how did we not talk about him yet? I'm just saying.
Okay, and so roadblock number 3 here is allowing your emotions to take over. And so first, don't feel bad because we all go through those moments, right? I mean, James brought it up again about Alexi Pappas, one of the Inspired calls we did a while back. And it wasn't her, it was her roommate, where she said when she had those times and she just got super overwhelmed, she'd go back to bed and like not like for the day, right? But she'd go back into bed and literally, I think, put on her pajamas and then rip the blanket off and be like, new day. And that was, I think, 2021, I think that call was. And that has stuck with me and many of us ever since, because just the concept of nobody gets to, create the rules for your life except for you. And so if you need the reset like that, then give yourself the reset. And so as far as allowing kind of your emotions to take over, one of the most effective ways to kind of reset your emotions is going to be to focus on something you can control, just like what I said. So being two kind of highly busy operations professionals, we have a bit of controlling tendencies in us. Keep it quiet, Valerie. I know you're laughing right now. So believe us when we say that we can actually relate to this, right? And but it can also be a positive trait, right? Kind of needing to control things and things like that. And so when you're feeling kind of overwhelmed and anxious, two things that help us to kind of regain some of that control and the direction of what we need to do for our business, right? Or even just for not only just for business, right? But whatever it is that you kind of need to get back in order for your life, is going to have to do with having systems and templates kind of in your back pocket. And so when things are feeling kind of totally out of whack, 9 times out of 10, it means that there's a gap or a hole that needs to be filled. So think about the client that maybe had a really bad experience. It's not always the case. Some people are just, they're just not friendly people. But most of the time, there might have been a lapse in communication on something that you could have potentially plugged that hole to prevent it from happening, right? So that's kind of what I mean when I say that you need to fill or plug a hole. Like, where is there a step that you can add in to help prevent some of those things that get missed, or some of those things that end up creating some anxiety later on, right? That might have been able to be preventative if you had been able to take care of it in advance. And so I always like to talk about atomic habits and the concept again of doing 1% better. And creating a system can literally be as simple as a checklist that you follow, like a recipe, or it can be as complex as a 10-page spreadsheet if that's your jam, no judgment. And so when you're faced with like a task or a project, there is like a little exercise that I'm going to kind of walk you through. When you start to kind of feel that overwhelm coming in, I do want you to give this a shot, right? So literally, you're going to sit down with a pen and paper for just a few minutes. You're going to write down whatever the title or, the subject of the project or task is that you need to get done. And then you need to brain dump. So literally just get it all out of your head. And we're going to use event planning as an example, right? So if I'm brain dumping about event planning, right? So what's my theme? Do I need a venue? Is there going to be food? Who's going to get invited? Is anyone going to help pay for this? Do I have an agent friend maybe or colleague who I can partner with, and maybe we can split the event, right, to help share the cost? When is it going to be as well? Do I want to put a limit on the number of guests maybe that's going to be coming to the event, right? Et cetera, et cetera. And so when you're brain dumping, don't try to put it in order. Literally just get it out of your head onto a piece of paper. And then I would like you to either, depending on how that felt, for some people, that can be very just relaxing, right? You get it out of your head. For other people, that exercise by itself can be overwhelming. So if it is, walk away from it. Give yourself 5-10 minutes or whatever the case is. And if it's not, then I want you to just keep going with kind of the next part of the exercise. And then that is going to be to look back at that list and then organize it. So you're either going to organize it, but what needs to happen first, right? Or what's kind of most important that needs to happen in order to start to get all the other dominoes to fall into place. And so that kind of simple exercise of just brain dumping and putting it down on a piece of paper, then going back to reorganize it, that itself is a checklist. Now you've just made yourself a system and you've made yourself a playbook, right? And so a playbook really is just an example of a system. And so a pro tip to kind of tie it off with the event planning kind of example is that a couple days after that you do your event, you're going to want to sit down again, right, with yourself or get feedback from clients and vendors or whoever else was there at the event. write down all the steps and the activities that you took to kind of get from A to B, right? To get to the post part of the event. And then basically you're just gonna get all that feedback. So that way, that's how you work on amplifying your events, right? And so I talk about it from, for example, we do a movie event almost every single year, right? Every year minus the COVID years, basically. And so our summer movie event, year one, it kind of started off one way, right? We maybe gave like a little tchotchke bag or something like that, compared to how we're doing it now, where we rent out a whole theater, it sells out every year. We have kind of our lined up sponsors who want to sponsor every year because they know it sells out. It's great exposure for them. And so amplifying your events over time, don't feel like it needs to be perfect right now. So the concept of progress, not perfection. And that is in its simplest kind of example what a system is going to be when you're trying to start to build one out.
Yeah, that's my favorite word, is the progress over perfection all the time, because there's so many of us that get stuck in gear one and never make it to gear two because we feel like it's not perfect. But guess what, guys? 50% of your 100% is probably better than 0%. That's all I'm saying. So I know that's a lot of math, but it means just get started. Anything that you're going to do is better than doing nothing. So, because you build on that. So with Josie talking about all of that, we're going to go ahead and talk about templates. So templates is one of my favorite things to talk about because I love them. And we give a lot of them. If you guys haven't been in any of our classes, courses, anything like that, we just love them because we know it makes people's lives easier. But creating a single template is a lot easier than creating an entire system. So I want you to picture a clock, and one gear in the clock is a system versus the entire clock. So the thing about templates, though, is that you have to force yourself to do them. Even when you're getting one from someone else and you have to R&D, you do have to sit down and put the time in. Templates do save the day and help lessen sense of overwhelm every day, guys. Like if you do it more than once, it's a system. So in that system are templates. So make sure when you're doing something, just take 5 minutes, slow down, and start implementing those repetitive tasks that, if you're doing an under contract email, make that a template. If you're doing a email for utilities, make that a template. Just so you're not forgetting those things. Checklists should be templates, things like that. So we're just going to give you some examples. Josie, do you mind going to the next slide for me?
Oh, yes. But first was just going to mention a couple things on this one. So we do have 2 areas within the Real Estate Operations Institute where we do share free resources with you guys that we wanted to make you aware of. So one is through our monthly newsletter. We have what we call a monthly ops insider freebie that you can get. And so literally we have some people who reply to us like looking for that freebie every month. So if you go to the website, it's just the realestateoperationsinstitute.com, and then right at the very bottom, you could just subscribe to the newsletter, and then we share motivational tips. We share, different classes and things like that as well. But that's one area every single month that we do share something. As well as there is a free resources page within our website. So certain things that we create, right, we'll upload there. So that's available for you to just literally just go in, grab and download, and we'll continue to add to that over time. This client touch plan is an example of one of the templates. So Chris, I'll let you talk about that. That's actually one of the resources you guys are going to be getting today, which will kind of tie into the lead management a little bit. But Chris, did you want to just explain what that is?
It's something. So one of the things one of the largest things that they come is, how do we start a touch plan? Like, don't overthink it. So start today. Everybody's like, well, it's December. We'll start in December. Build your December out, and then build the plane as you fly it. So what we did is we put together this. It's a quick and dirty, but it's going to help you to keep your finger to the pulse on what you should be doing on a monthly basis. So each month, I don't know, do you have it quick to pull up, or no? Do you not have it?
I don't.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
But basically it just tells you who you should be calling that week through your DTD2. It's going to tell you, you have a quick little, you can jot down whose birthdays are that month. Are you planning any events? What does that look like? There's a note section. So it's just going to help you to wrap your head around some things. A lot of people just digitally. I'm a pen and paper person. I still use my calendar, but I always write everything down on my planner as well. So this is going to give you a leg up to just start. Okay, it is, like I said, a quick and dirty for you to just get started so you can stop saying, I don't know where to start. It's going to tell you exactly where to start in here. Just start putting it down on the paper, and that's your roadmap.
Yeah, perfect. Sorry, my mouse is being weird. There we go. And so this page just has, we wanted to share more examples of templates that you guys can create in your own business to really kind of help quiet that head noise. And so literally things like email and video answers to FAQs. There was a leader, Mariana Costa. She's out of like the Cape Cod area, and she's huge on video. I admire her so much. Met her at Family Reunion. She spoke several years in a row at KW's Family Reunion about video, and how when she would get a question more than once, she'd make a video answer to it. She created an entire FAQ video library. So every time somebody would reach out to her, she would redirect them to go to the video library to get the answer. Not only did it help her SEO, right, for just kind of people going into her website, but it was leverage off of her plate. So she didn't have to keep repeating herself for the different answers for different things. So that's a huge one. Also transactional templates. So you're talking like making sure that you have your checklist in order, your email templates. The things that are going to be repetitive are the things that, again, you really want a template for. Your event playbooks. Do you do an event like we do our movie event every year? Yes, we have a playbook for that. For lead capturing, closing surveys, social media graphics, referral tracking systems. We taught a VIP class a while back about all the things that you can do for that. Touch systems, your meeting agendas, your marketing calendar. So like this, for example, is a one-page event for the year, something that we use when we approach our sponsors every year, as well as kind of, transaction checklists. We even have for our closing survey so that it's automated. These are all examples of things plug in for our course that we go through with the course, and we give you templates for almost all of these things. So just gonna put that out there. And then so for roadblock number 4, we're gonna be getting into leverage. And so people often get overwhelmed, right, when they're struggling with kind of the when and what to let go of, or how to train somebody else to do what it is that they do. And so I really like these images. Like don't be the person who's doing this, right? You're the agent, or who's on the phone, 2 different phones. You got the stack of stuff on your desk because you might have support, but you just can't let go. And definitely don't do this. Don't be the person who gives all of the grunt work to your admin without pouring into them and just kind of wants them to figure it out, because that's really not going to be effective either. And so what we like to say is, I do, you do, we do.
Yep. So remember this. Always remember this. You can have leverage automation through smart plans, action plans, your CRM. You can leverage people. It doesn't have to be you all the time. So leverage existing classes, your communities. Like I said, find someone, even if you are, let's say, a rainmaker, and you know that another rainmaker has an awesome admin, executive admin, or a director of operations. Reach out to them and say, hey, Carissa's starting next week. Do you mind if she comes in shadows? Like, leverage what's around you. But there's just like tons of free stuff. So it doesn't even have to cost money at that level. So just reach out, find peers to collaborate, and we could keep going on this, but basically inspect what you expect. So if you are leveraging it, make sure you are looking it over and it is what you expect. You don't have to do it, but make sure it's to your standard. Video trainings, which you just talked about, the agent. Did you, I think somebody put in the chat, they asked what the agent name was or who it was. They put their part of their name, but can you let them know? I was going to ask.
Oh, I'll put it in the chat. Yeah, Mariana
Yes,
Costa.
I appreciate it. But it's probably one of the most underutilized but most effective things that you can do. So make sure you are recording yourself in how you do it. Like even if it's putting an MLS listing in, don't overthink it. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just go through the process that you do and put that in your library bank. You can't leverage and not follow up. I'm going to touch on this again, because if you are leveraging it and dumping it on somebody, and I say dumping it because there are some people that just dump it and move, you can't expect it to be the way you want it unless you come back and you are having those follow-up conversations, and also having conversations how we get better together. So it's not just about saying, oh, I have a TC or I have an admin and she's going to do everything. No, you're going to make sure you're following up with that admin, TC, whoever it is, on a scheduled basis on your calendar, so it happens, and you are inspecting what you're expecting so that it's not 7 months into your business and you find out that, it's not done the way that you wanted it to be done. So the team owner / admin or operator relationship is such an important one that truly goes hand in hand. When you're working at the highest level, it's what I say is more important than anything within your business. Once you have that right hand man, woman, maybe left hand, whatever they are, this is a big reason why, at least for now, when we offer any of our classes and courses, we allow and encourage the team owners to sign up and share the login with their lead admin so that they are on the same page. As a visionary, the team owner is often the person to soak up the high level, big picture view and determine what might be most beneficial to the business now to start and start implementing. But on the flip side, if you're the admin, if you're on this call right now, you need to bring that team leader who can't be as involved back in, because a lot of the time we leverage it out and we think we can just walk away. Bring them back in and let them know that it's important that we have to sit down with them and go through this together, because we build together. You have to be on that same page. Is there anything else that you wanted to add to that?
No, I think that was a really strong point, with the I do. So the one thing I guess I'd say, like for me, the way I train, right, on our team here in Connecticut, I do leverage video trainings a lot. And so that could literally be me having recorded myself, right, done like a listing input. So if I don't have the time to walk through with like our new TC, for example, I can send him to go watch the video training, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that could also be, so we talk about the GPS and the 411. I love that conversation, but it is a very detailed conversation. So ever since Jenny Wallach and Nakia Dollar did that training with James, I think it was in 2020, it was a long time ago. It's on YouTube. It's a 90-minute training. Like that's on our team training website. And that's something I've shared with a lot of other leaders who've reached out to me for questions about the GPS and the 411. Like there's a 90-minute free training and they go deep and they do an excellent job. So go watch that, right? Things like that can be leveraged as well.
Yep.
And so roadblock number 5, right? So we said we were going to kind of hit the main 5 roadblocks that might be kind of hindering you from reaching where you want to reach in your business. So 5 is lead management. That is, of course, going to be something for a lot of people, and we do understand that. So the question though is, right, so how do you ensure that no lead gets left behind and then turn them into raving fans and VIPs? And so when you're talking about new leads and existing clients, your number one priority is going to be to generate business and income. So if this is the roadblock that's overwhelming for you the most, it's probably because there's a communication gap, right? We talked about gaps and filling the holes. And so you either don't have enough leads, and then so maybe you're questioning, are you adding enough value for people to want to come talk to you and want to do business with you? Or you might be on the flip side. And so I'm not saying you're not, you might be questioning, right? Overwhelm if you're adding enough value. Or the other side, you have too many leads, in which case you're not able to service them at the highest level. And that can be overwhelming as well. And so we like to say, remember the 3 F's.
Yep. So the 3 F's, and they're probably not the F's you're thinking about because this is a family place and we're not going to use those words here. So flow is going to be the first one we talk about. So let's think about this. Take 2 steps back and determine where they are really in the process. We're talking about a lead right now. So are they a hot lead? Are they looking to make the move in 6 to 9 months? This is where it's crucial to ask yourself deeper questions and your client and or whoever you're dealing with deeper questions. Unfortunately, I can't remember who said this quote last year, but it's perfect when it comes to the definition of a lead. So a lead should be someone who you have their specific motivation, time frame, and permission to follow up. So think about that when you're thinking about your flow and how you're where you're putting them in your flow. So don't be prioritizing people that are, you know, a C on your scale. You know, some people categorize A, B, C. So figure out what that flow looks like, and that helps you to bring back more control and less overwhelm because you don't feel like you're scrambling all over. The second F we're going to talk about is follow up. What types of communication plans do you have in place for your business currently? Think about that. So we have to kind of meet people where they are. So think about what you are currently doing and where you can kind of alternate that. We mentioned smart plans, action plans before. Whatever you call them, it's that kind of drip where it's automatically kind of loving on people. As much automation as you can leverage without neglecting the client is key here. And it's positive to do because they do still get that touch. And those personal touches are coming from either you, or if you have, like, I know the Josie's team has a client care coordinator who reaches out. So whoever's reaching that out and doing those more personal touches is going to fill those gaps between the automations. But just make sure you are following a touch plan. So one of the bonus resources we are sharing with you, and you guys will all get a copy of it, is our 36 Touch Plus plan. For those who took the VIP class last time around when we did host it, you remember we did discuss the 3 monthly engagement activities to keep you top of mind. So this includes calls, texts, face-to-face, and social media. So the reason we call it a 36 plus touch is because our goal is, again, to keep it simple and yet follow the plan. And looking at, if you look at all the touches in there, it's over 100 plus touches. So it can feel overwhelming, but a lot of those things are just things that you do normally. You're just making them intentional. So there's no right or wrong way to approach it. As long as the steps are being executed, that's key. And the beauty of most of these the beauty of most of this, the documents we're sharing with you, you're able to customize as much or as little as possible. So again, it's that implementation part. This is where we're going to get caught up, is that implementation. Once you get these today, guys, start figuring out how you time block that into your day, small pieces, just so that you can start building that. So the last one, this is where we all want to live, is in that fortune. So the path to the fortune can be found through your post-close follow-up systems, referral programs, VIP programs. The relationship and the client engagement can't stop at the closing. I can't not say that enough, because that's what a lot of us do in this industry. We get them to the closing table, we have a check in hand, and then we say goodbye. You have to genuinely support them, provide great customer service, whether they're on the front end or the back end of the deal. You want to turn them into the forever clients, VIP clients, whatever you call them, your raving fans. Just make sure you are implementing that feel good after the fact as well, because that is what's going to feed your business going forward. Josie just told you, what is it? 80-something% of your business is past clients, referral, sphere of influence, all of that. So
Yep. Repeat and referral. Yep.
Yep. So, I mean, proof is in the pudding. It can happen. So just make sure you're intentional about it. It's easier to keep a client than to find a new one.
Absolutely. And so what we kind of want to circle back to this as promised, right? So it's been an interesting year so far. And so for some of you who do know me more personally, you know some of what I've been going through, right? We both have kind of had our things going on between home life, work life, right? Just chaos, health issues, being there for other people. And yet it is our systems that help keep us grounded and help us run the types of businesses that we run. You know, I said it this morning, I help run 3 different businesses, and I wouldn't be able to do that if I didn't have things kind of really tight and lined up for all the different areas kind of in my world of what I help oversee or whatever the case is. And so we really wanted to bring this to your attention again. So it's bit.ly/ PSMS course. PSMS is Profitable Systems Made Simple. Inspire members, again, you can check your inbox for a coupon. So this is actually going to start next Wednesday, May 8th, and we're going to run this through every Wednesday in May. We moved it to avoid KW's Red Day, which is next Thursday, because originally we had it on Thursday. And so we figured just easier to keep it consistent. It's 90 minutes each week. There's going to be 3 weekly 90-minute live sessions in Zoom. And then there is a 4th session that 4th week that is going to be a non-recorded special implementation workshop. And so we'd love to have you join us for that as well. And then I'm going to let Krista kind of dig in a little bit more about the course.
Yes. So basically, when we taught Profitable Systems last fall, we received tons of feedback and thank yous from everybody saying how much they loved the content, how easy it was to follow, how helpful it was, the resources, just being able to like kind of plug and chug. I always say that, plug and chug, because that's what it is. We want to give you that material. The first session is next Wednesday, May 8th at 11 a.m. And again, we did move it so we didn't conflict with the time with Red Day, because we want to be respectful of that. So make sure if you did get anything that says May 9th that you are not following that. Let me make sure I am. There'll be 4 weekly live sessions, all held via Zoom, and the first 3 classes will be recorded.
Yep, mention that. Yep.
Yep. So all the recordings will be sent to you. I'm just trying to think of what you didn't talk
it's
about.
in Kajabi. Sorry. Yeah, I know I kind of threw you off there. So we use Kajabi where we house the recording. So that's where you'll be able to watch everything. There is also 19 plus self-paced lessons that you would have access to. So when we do the weekly live sessions, then we open up a new module for you. So that's when we get into the transaction management, the foundational systems we talked about, the marketing and branding, some best practices. That live workshop has to do with collaboration and helping you get into implementation. And so the way we've designed the course is for that kind of busy realtor, that busy operator like us. And that is why it's a combination of lives, recordings, right? You'll have an extra 90 days, so really all summer, to watch those self-paced lessons. And it's really not a lot. If you time block an hour per week, then you'd be able to finish it in about 6 weeks, right? Like most of the sessions are 8 to 15 minutes long, give or take. The biggest piece, one of the biggest pieces, is that there is over 45 bonus resources that we include. So like templates, editable templates, just like we did with this class, right? There's some that are PDF samples. There's a couple video tutorials. So literally 45 different, well, almost 50 that you can create into your operations binder or website, if you have a training website like we do in Google Sites, right? So that is so that you can continue to train, continue to grow and amplify your business as you continue into this kind of weird season and weird market. And by kind of getting all of those things in alignment, that is what will also help you lessen that sense of overwhelm and those feelings of anxiety. And I can say from people who took it in the fall, like Carissa said, we had solo agents, we had Rainmakers team owners, we had people who maybe wasn't kind of a solo agent, but they had like a virtual assistant, for example. And that is why we do encourage as well. So if you do have an admin team, operator team, have them join you in the course. You just share your login, but there's no additional charge for you guys to take it together.
Yep. And so I know we have limited time, so I just want to make
Yep.
sure you guys know that we are giving some bonuses if you do sign up before Friday. And I want to make sure I hit on all these bonuses because they are great. So you'll be getting a free copy of our monthly leadership growth journal. It is a digital download, so you can print it, you can keep it on your computer, do whatever you want. It has a lot of different workbook sheets, papers where you can jot down your goals. It's not only just about your goals, it's about leadership and how are you doing better. It minimizes those moments of overwhelm. That's all I'm going to say. You want to talk about the next one, Josie?
Yes, sorry, I was looking for questions in the chat.
No, it's okay.
Pick up with the call to actions.
No, the marketing, the social media marketing bundle that we're giving.
Oh yes. So it's 12 social media templates. You guys know social media is my jam. So just our goal really, again, with these bonuses, the leadership growth journal we designed actually since the beginning of this year, and it is like a 5-week journal that's going to have a lot of really impactful pages, help you build those success habits like a productivity tracker and gratitude journaling, things like that. The social media is just going to give you some templates for the people who really struggle with what to post and when to post, helps with branding, so they're editable Canva templates, and then the call to action, so a list of 100 call to actions that you can use in your social media captions to make sure you're actually getting leads and business from all of that.
Yep.
And so with the Inspire coupon, it is for $50 off for our Inspire community members. Of course, it pays to be in Inspire. And then, so this is kind of a recap of what's included. So it's 3 weekly sessions, like we said, the bonus session, you have the self-paced pre-recorded lessons, the resources. There's also a workbook that's going to help you kind of guide along with brainstorming exercises. Also a private Facebook group. Don't remember if we mentioned that. So you'll have access to come into the group. We did decide that we're going to have it be lifetime access this time around as well. So once you're in with us forever. And every month we also do an additional free monthly mastermind on different topics. So like that client touch plan guide that Carissa shared, we did that with our people back in February, and they were able to get that. They all got free copies of that monthly growth journal when we released it at the beginning of the year, and that's for sale on our website. But if you sign up, you'd get that for free. So there's a lot of benefits into being in our Troy community, as we call it. Troy is just the abbreviation of the Real Estate Operations Institute. And so there's a ton of value. If you were to add up all of the different things, like literally just paying for coaching with just me or paying for coaching with just Carissa, for example, right? The time and resources it would take you to recreate all of the templates and the tools that we have created and that we are sharing with you. And these are things that have actually helped us already grow our business, right? Going from when I first started with Val to, I don't remember what her volume was. Right now we're a $20+ million team here in Connecticut. And like I said, being able to help multiple other leaders across the country. And then Carissa is literally the broker in Georgia for the state of the brokerage that she works with. She is not KW. So that is something I will mention. It is brokerage agnostic for the class as well. And so we do encourage anybody to join. We keep it very neutral in sort of what we teach. And it is very much encouraged for the admin and the Rainmaker to take it together, like I said. So you can enroll now. There is a paid in full option, or you can do 2 payments. It'll automatically charge you the second payment like 30 days. And then if you get your Inspire coupon code, which is in your email, then you can get the $50 off, and it will apply for either option that you choose. So we know we went long. We don't really have time for questions. I do apologize, James. But you can reach out to us at opscoaches@gmail.com. You can go to the Real Estate Operations Institute website. You can follow us on Instagram, like I said before, and we are completely available. And as far as those bonus sign-up resources, that is through end of day Friday. So just a reminder, and then we'll have you in for class next Wednesday. I'm going to stop sharing.
Yeah,
Josie, that was so good. Carissa, that was so good. Thank you for jumping in Pivot and giving them all the free stuff today and telling them the info about the paid course. That's awesome. Thank you for spending time with us.
Thank you.
Anything else you want to say before we kick it?
No, don't forget to check the email, because we're sending out the energy plan handout, time blocking template, 36+ touch plan, and your client touch plan. So make sure you guys are looking out for that, because that's the freebies you're going to be getting.
Check your email. Yeah, everybody who registered on the Zoom will have access to that stuff. Ladies, thank you so much. Everyone else who's here, thanks for joining us. We appreciate you. We'll see most of you back tomorrow morning inside Pivot Shift Ahead. Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys. Have a great one. Thanks, James.
Thanks, guys. Great job.